From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching a special edition of In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, and very happy Independence Day, everybody. I'm Jamie Hickson, and here with a I don't even have to call you a special guest anymore. You're just a friend of ours. Right. My main man, Judge Reds, host of Live That Scene right here on CTV, or as I like to call him, Little John. I know he hates having to be called that because you get that every single time, don't you?
I do, but since Little John seemed to have gone back in the shadows, you know what I'm saying? I guess I got to represent for both of us now.
This is true. Now, because of the subject matter that's taking place tonight, we're not taking phone calls, but you can still contact us through Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and Snapchat. And I promise we're going to be getting some more episodes up and running soon. Now, as you could probably see, Eric's not here because he's spending the holiday with his family, but he's going to join us hopefully next Monday night. Now, we have a special show today because it's Independence Day evening, which means everybody's out celebrating the holiday and the fireworks. But most importantly, this is a day to celebrate our country. Today marks our 240th birthday as a country. And with that being said, I want to give a special word of thanks and also a quick shout out to a young man who's become a really good friend of mine. His name is Tyler DeRue. He's home this weekend on leave from his time in the Marines. He started out in Paris Island, then after graduating, got sent up to Camp Lejeune. Recently, he was doing training in California. Now he's back home. He's a Patrides kid, class of 2015. Now he's back home spending time with the family. Soon, he's going to be doing an assignment where he's going to be stationed in Spain as military police. I want to give a special word of thanks to that young man for all that he's done for our country. And I also want to give a special word of thanks to every single service person, man and woman, that has done everything to defend our freedom and our way of life. There was a time when I used to think that Independence Day was just another holiday for us to go out and have fun. When I started taking this job 11 years ago, I thought the same way still. But then I started doing stories about all of the Staten Islanders who served our country in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and even right now in the Middle East. I never comprehended exactly how much sacrifice and how much blood, sweat, and tears these people have made, not just for Staten Island and for the city of New York and for the state of New York, but for our entire country in general. These men and women have done something that I don't think any other human being would even try to fathom doing. What they have done took a lot of nobility, a lot of courage, a lot of sacrifice, but one thing that it took for them to do what they did, and also for the others who sacrificed their own lives to try and defend us, is hard. It takes someone with tremendous amount of heart to do what these men and women, both living and having passed on, did. For that, all I can say is thank you. If you or someone you know has a family member or a friend that is serving today, go to them, shake their hands, and say thank you for all you have done for our country. Those two simple words mean a lot. So that is my Independence Day monologue for you. Of course, with that being said, unfortunately, we also have to do a time of reflection, because not only is Independence Day a time to honor 240 years of freedom, it's also a time to remember every single person that has given their lives for our freedom. At the same time, we also have to do some reflection on some of the figures in sports that unfortunately passed away recently, because a very iconic figure in basketball unfortunately passed away just a few days ago, and that's Pat Summitt.
Oh, wow.
Pat Summitt was the longtime coach at the University of Tennessee. She spent 38 years coaching at Tennessee. This woman started out driving the van and taking her own players onto road games when she first started out back in '74.
That's what you call determination right there.
That is determination. That's also sacrifice.
Yeah.
Sacrificing her own personal time for these girls. And she coached so many great players in that program, from Shaminqua Holtzclaw to Carol Lawson to Candace Parker, now Candace Parker Williams, because she's married to the former NBA player Sheldon Williams.
Right.
What this woman has done for college, not just for the University of Tennessee, but for college basketball in general, really shows how much women's sports has evolved today.
I mean, she kicked in the door for even the WNBA, which made a 20-year anniversary. So
She unwittingly started the women's basketball movement in this country, because she started coaching that program right around the same time, or maybe a little bit after the time when Title IX was invented. Okay. Title IX, of course, is the law in which every single school must have women's sports. And because of Title IX, we've had Tennessee women's basketball, we've had UConn women's basketball, each of which has become a national power, and a dominant national power at that. We've also had the Williams sisters. We've also had, to borrow an Olympics note here, the Magnificent Seven, the 1996 Olympic gymnastics team that won gold. The women's gymnastics team, that is.
It's one of my favorite sports in the Olympics.
The women's soccer team, which won 3 women's World Cups and made stars out of women like Mia Hamm and Brandi Chastain and Abby Wambach, Carly Lloyd, Hope Solo. This woman, Pat Summitt, was basically a matriarch, not just for women's basketball, but for women's sports. And just to give you an idea how her players did in the classroom, she has coached countless women in the past. I think she's coached along the lines of maybe 600 to 700 different players in 38 years. Every single one of her players graduated from Tennessee.
That's a blessing right there.
This just goes to show you that there's a difference between just being an athlete and being a student athlete. When it comes to school and sports, the classroom always comes first. It's just a real shame that not many of the other athletic programs in this country can follow the example that Pat Summitt set for them. If you've got a 100% graduation rate among your players, you know you're doing something right.
I mean, maybe she left the manual, when she passed away, and maybe they could move forward and evolve the programs, in her honor. I mean, I just think it's an honor if she was not here, we wouldn't have all them great players. We wouldn't have 700 graduates from her school and her program. So, it's a blessing that she was here and she was able to do as much as she was able to do. We need more of that there.
16 Southeastern Conference titles, 8 national championships, a spot in the Hall of Fame. She's now in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, she wound up being diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and dementia, which forced her into retirement 4 years ago. And she passed away just this past week after a long battle with dementia and Alzheimer's. And she was only 64 when she passed away. So,
I mean, not to interrupt you, but you left out one thing. She also opened the door for our daughters. You know what I'm saying?
yes.
Because I have 4 daughters and you have daughters also. So, it gives them the opportunity to go out there and take part in sports. But this Title IX, that's a beautiful thing.
Title IX has done so much for women athletes in this country that I just wish that some of these programs could get a little bit more glorified in the media than the men's programs do, because there are some female athletes that are just world class. But
That's just a stereotype. It's stereotypical, We have to break out of the ice age, get out of them caveman days, you know what I'm saying, and recognize greatness. Greatness comes in both sex, male and female, It's not just the male players out there. It's not just the male coaches out there. It's not just the male referees out there. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we now have not just ball players, soccer players. There's now a women's ice hockey league. There's now a professional women's ice hockey league, which just started this past season, and they had their very first draft.
That's a step up from, the traditional roller skate and stuff that they used to give them and push them in them corners and them boxes. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy watching. I really enjoy watching college basketball.
Yeah.
They seem to go in. I wish they can get more of that showcased in the WNBA. It's like they're limited.
Well, fortunately, the women's game has really evolved to the point where they're now playing in much larger arenas. They'll occasionally have a game at the Garden every year.
They have a fan base, and then I even
The fan base is really good.
Even their gear, they make gear specifically for women now. It's not like they just have to go out there and wear our jerseys and wear our stuff. So they make the WNBA stuff for guys also, that's fans of teams in the league.
For the record, Pat left behind her husband and their son, and she is one figure that is really, really going to be missed. I really don't think there's going to be another woman like her, not just in basketball, but in any sport, because she really defied a lot of odds.
I mean, we got 700 possibilities, you know what I'm saying? And 700 students that she helped graduate and push. It can be 700 versions of her, okay? It's just a beautiful thing that she was able to be here and touch and, do as much as she did once again.
In addition to Pat Summitt passing away, at the same time, Buddy Ryan, the former NFL coach, passed away. Buddy Ryan, of course, was well known as a defensive guru, both with the Bears, whom he helped create the 46 defense that won Super Bowl 20 all those years ago, and he was even an assistant on the Jets' only Super Bowl team from 1969.
But he also has a legacy. One of his sons came in.
In fact, both of his sons, the Ryan twins, Rex and Rob, are successful coaches right now.
Okay.
Rex, of course, was here with the Jets and is now up in Buffalo. And Rob has been a long-time defensive coordinator with the Browns and the Saints and the Cowboys recently. And they got their defensive genius from their father. Buddy Ryan was the man that innovated the 46 defense on the Bears. But he was also a guy who had a reputation for being a real curmudgeon with the people that he worked with. Notice the long feud that he had with Mike Ditka on the Bears, and of course the time that he punched Jeff Fisher on the sidelines when they were in Houston together.
I mean, well, the people that he had beef with, they seem to get in a lot of beef with everybody. So, you know, I'm not surprised. Sometimes you have to be that animate about what you believe in, that you're willing to fight for it. So, you know, I don't knock none of that. I've never coached a football team, so I don't know what it takes to be a football coach. But if that's what it takes to win, then bring it on. Bring more of it.
Exactly right. Of course, Rex Ryan left behind both of the Ryan twins and his wife of many, many years. This has not been a good year to be a well-known celebrity because there have been so many people in the public eye that have passed on.
I mean, we lost. No,
the greatest of all time passed away recently, of course, and not just in sports either. It's in the entertainment world. David Bowie passed away. The mother from Everybody Loves Raymond passed away. So many different people in the public eye.
I didn't even know she passed away.
Yeah.
The ironic thing is, we was talking about my college classmate, Kimbo Slice, and you know,
Kimbo Slice also passed away too under mysterious circumstances.
But remember the last show we was talking about him, and I was telling you about him in college, and it was just like no sooner than we stopped filming, and I got home, the news came. You know what I'm saying? It's very unbelievable. I just was watching a special about him last week. Did you check the special out?
No, I missed it, and I wish I had watched it.
Oh, it's on demand. You can check it out. I mean, it really showed a different side of him because a lot of times people get stereotyped for how they look, okay? And everybody that came on that program, they just talked about how big his heart was and how, you know, he was just one of those people, just cheery and upbeat and, you know, so sometimes don't go by the way they portray people in media.
Yeah.
Because that's not the true person. You know what I'm saying? He was a family man. He had a kid with autism, and they show he would go from one gym to the next gym because he tracked one of his sons at a certain time just about every single week, every day. Okay, and this is the son with the autism, okay?
Yep.
You know, it's sad. Yeah, I kind of said it before, but it's like when the people pass away is when you start hearing good stuff about them and everything good that they done. You know? I'm so happy that they didn't do him like they did Prince and, you know, even David Bowie and, you know, digging into stuff that they can't defend themselves right now. They're not here.
Yeah.
You know. My condolences goes out to his family.
Yeah.
And with him also, the legacy lives on. There's a little Slice. There's a baby Slice that's fighting now. So, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully he'll have his father winning spirit and, you know, make his impact and his imprint into the sport.
That's right. You know what the sad reality about this whole thing is that life has to go on. As much as we really don't want it to, life has to go on. But at least we have the memories of all the good times that took place with Kimbo.
And the impact that they make. Because believe me, if there was no Kimbo Slice, if there was none of these people, then, you know, what came out after them wouldn't be here neither, you know. So their time was very worthwhile. It might be short, but it was needed. You know, we need these people.
This is true. Well, I guess with that being said, we're going to have to try and move on from this. Of course, since this is July, that means actually it means two simple words: free agency. And free agency started as of this past Friday, both in the NBA and the NHL. And just as midnight hit on Friday morning, there were already some deals that were being agreed upon and still are being worked upon to this point.
I hope they're getting KD in New York. I swear. I need some New York KDs. Are you serious?
I hate to tell you this, but Kevin Durant is not going to be coming to New York anytime soon, which is pretty ironic considering that he's going to be vacationing in the Hamptons so he can talk to some prospective teams.
Oh, no. If you ain't coming to New York, don't come to our Hamptons neither. That's it. Take that to Colorado somewhere. We do not want to.
But seriously.
I was hearing about LeBron. Even.
Yeah.
I'm hearing
LeBron actually decided to opt out of the last year of his contract so he could test the waters. But as it turns out, looks like he's going to be re-signing with the Cavaliers because he already made it loud and clear with Cleveland.com. He's coming back to Cleveland. He said he's very happy in Cleveland. It's the happiest that he's ever been in his entire life. So he's definitely going back to Cleveland.
I don't know about that past championship. Oh, my goodness.
There was a reporter that brought up that maybe next year would be one final year with him in Cleveland and that he was going to head on to Los Angeles to play for either the Lakers or the Clippers. After what he just put the city of Cleveland through 6 years ago and him bringing a championship back to that proud city just a couple of weeks ago, why would he want to put that franchise and that city through turmoil again?
I don't know, but I do know one thing. LeBron better, I don't care if you're 80 years old, LeBron, okay? Ever since that decision, you owe New York a ring. You better come over here and play. Bring us a ring, man.
Honestly, I don't see that happening. But I will say this. In addition to LeBron, the big ticket free agent right now is Kevin Durant. He already opted out of his deal. He's already made it clear he's not coming to New York. He's not playing for the Knicks or the Nets. He wouldn't even so much as take a meeting with them. And Rock Nation reps him. Rock Nation is based here. He wouldn't even listen to Rock Nation on trying to get a meeting with the Knicks or the Nets.
But it's usually like that. Remember, LeBron was real close with Jay-Z before Rock Nation even came in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, he was like supposed to be signed with them also. And that's where, the big discrepancy came with this decision.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he, practically stabbed Rock Nation in the back.
Yeah. So the big news that I'm hearing right now is that KD is going to decide between either Oklahoma City or maybe the Golden State Warriors, with whom he had a very, very lengthy meeting with just a couple days ago. He met with them for 2 hours.
I would love to see him play with Golden State. I would love to see him play over there.
If he does sign with the Warriors win the NBA title next year, hands down. That's number one. Number two, there's the issue of what the Knicks and the Nets are doing. Well, we already know that the Knicks have already agreed to terms with Joakim Noah. Got a 4-year. He's going to sign.
No, that's not the big thing. The big thing is that player that they got now. That is
Derrick Rose.
Okay.
The Derrick Rose trade was officially made. And when you think about it, the Knicks basically gave up 3, I would say, B- to C+ list players from their roster. They traded Robin Lopez, who's a good defensive center, but not much offensively. They traded Jose Calderon, who is washed up. And then there was that rookie point guard, Jerian Grant, a kid who I didn't really think they gave much of a chance to.
We came up. You know what I'm saying? We came up on this trade here.
This time, they actually did something smart. Granted, he has had a long list of injuries, from his knees to a broken eye socket. But
Carmelo is even motivated to do his best right now.
If Carmelo and Derrick Rose can each play 80 games this upcoming season, and Rose can put up at least the exact same numbers that he did this past season with the Bulls in just 66 games when he averaged 16 a game, you team them up with Kristaps Porzingis and Joakim Noah. If they can get a really competent shooting guard, someone who can really score the basket,
and don't forget,
maybe, just maybe, and this is an emphasis on maybe, they might be able to do something interesting this season.
They have to lock Phil Jackson out that office. Phil Jackson, we need you on the court. You know what I'm saying?
I think his coaching days might be done now, but he doesn't really want to have to go through the travel.
It's 2016. Come on, we could Skype you. You ain't even got to come down to the court.
Yeah, right. I think it's easier said than done. But Skype, maybe a tablet.
Yeah, we can work with you. We just need you down there. We need some guidance down there.
I don't even think the NBA would even allow it, because only in the NFL are they able to use tablets to try and look at some of the plays that are being called. But in the NBA, I doubt that anything like that would ever come to fruition.
I'm glad you mentioned them with this tablet, BS because they have gotten very lackadaisy. Do you know they give these players time, between the meetings to go check their social media and go online. They allocated time for them.
Social media has become a real dangerous thing.
It's
Not
their
just for the
attention span.
NFL. Yet it's not just in the NFL either. It's all
No,
sports.
but the NFL allocated time for them.
Yeah.
Now, in between their practice meetings, okay, they have probably 20 minutes every hour that they can go out there and go. And I don't think that's appropriate. They're making enough money. You can put that aside. You can check all of that stuff after practice.
And all of the Twitter wars that are going on in between athletes, there's going to come a point when somebody's going to have a really rude awakening.
The Twitter wars is, pretty contained. But when you get to the snitching and recording, asking questions and putting people on the spot, what Nick Young situation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's when it gets out of control.
Oh, boy.
You can't even trust your own roommate these days.
D'Angelo Russell lost all trust from his teammates the moment that he ratted Nick Young out. Although in his defense, should we really be surprised that Nick Young had a side chick?
I mean, we all have personal lives. Like when we leave the studio here, you know what I'm saying? I feel like there's certain things that it don't have to come into the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's a cheater. Yeah. But I mean, it's not like he's the first. Everybody sins, and nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? And to throw all of this stuff out there, it can be very damaging. Be damaging to his kids. He has children. He has a family. And this is the first thing that they overlook. You know what I'm saying? They just go after the person.
Speaking of Iggy Azalea, is it me or is Iggy Azalea going through Michael Jackson syndrome? She seems to be getting more and more pale.
I know that's just because she's from Australia. So, she's from down under. And I guess.
You sure it's not maybe a little plastic surgery gone wrong?
Oh, that too. But it's, her type of plastic surgery is implants, booty implants and, stuff like that. I don't understand why nobody does it the old-fashioned way. Follow Serena. Go to the gym. Go work out. Get it naturally. You know what I'm saying? Easy come, easy go.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then you look at her concerts and she fall one time. Guess what? That same butt implant then popped out.
It's gotten to the point where maybe there should be like a law against too much of this plastic surgery, because there's going to come a point where somebody's going to turn up dead. And there have been people that have died from plastic surgery.
Yeah,
gone
Joan
wrong.
Rivers. Okay?
Yeah.
A perfect example. But the thing is, the doctors, that's their industry. That's what they get paid for. So,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's like you're taking a whole career away. Okay? And then some people are just self-conscious like that there's really absolutely nothing wrong with them. But you can't tell them like that, That's one thing I like about the Learning Channel, They show a lot of these compulsive, I can't even think of the word, but these people are compulsive with these things, and it's not that serious, okay? It's people that have it worse. It's people that can't see, people that can't hear, people with real disabilities, okay? And they live with it and they go forward in life. So even in sports, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, I'm amazed that, this previous Olympics, unfortunately, the guy had a little bit too much going on, Pistorius. But,
Oscar Pistorius, who unfortunately killed his girlfriend,
and then
shot her to death when he insisted that it was a case of mistaken identity because he thought that there was a burglar in his house.
Don't they always say that? That's the same thing, the Sharon Nas. What's his name?
Which one?
The Sharon, he used to be with the Sharons. What is this? Phil? What is this?
Oh,
guy?
Phil Spector?
Okay.
Oh, brother.
Mr. Wiggs, okay? It's
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
thing that he said, and it seems to be like the normal, to say that, it was mistaken identity, and it's okay, With Travis, Tavon Martin, excuse me.
Yeah.
It was sort of similar, you know what I'm saying? I feel like with these guns, we can't eliminate the guns because we have a amendment in the Constitution to where we're allowed to have guns, but we should have some kind of, we have the fingerprints for the iPhone. We need to get some kind of DNA or something where if it's not your gun, you can't do nothing with it, okay? And then we also need to get something in there where it can tell you alcohol level, drug level, whatever level, okay? And if you're in your right mind, guess what? The gun shuts off. That's it.
See, therein lies the problem. It's the Second Amendment to the Constitution. And it's basically, and it's more than just giving a right. It's basically glorifying gun use. This is where the powers that be need to abolish that amendment. If we just get rid of that amendment, we wouldn't be having people like the NRA crowing the way they are about, well, we need to have the right to bear arms. No.
I mean, we should have some type of protection for us. Unfortunately, it's 2016, excuse me. What happens, you know, a lot of our terrorists are homegrown terrorists. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the other frightening part. People turning against us and basically...
And you have to be able to protect yourself
Yeah.
and your family against something like that. We
people
ain't saying martial
not
law.
only turning against us, but costing lives in the process.
Yeah, a lot of lives, and it's sad because it's always like the little man gets caught and then stuff like this happens. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You always have to listen to the first story that comes out because that's probably the only story that's true. After it gets watered down is amazing. Like, they can tell you the whole history on a person.
Yeah.
Where they bought the gun, when they bought the bullets, but they couldn't stop the incident from happening, you know, every time.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about what we should do in our own country, but then I look at situations like what happened in Turkey, and it just goes to show you that this can happen anywhere.
It can, but one thing, United States is respected. See, if you notice, it's not people coming from out the country doing this. It's inside the country. We're respected, okay? They know that you can't just come here and do anything, okay? But then it's like a catch-22, okay? The
Yeah.
people that's within here, okay, they also know that they're here and they can do certain things, you know?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the internet is a beautiful thing, but it just gives you a little bit of too much information on there.
Well, with that being said, I'm going to try and turn this topic to something that's a little bit more on the bright side, and that's back to free agency. Now, in our neck of the woods, not only did the Knicks make the Derrick Rose trade, but it looks like they have Joakim Noah in good hands as well. Supposedly, I heard that it was going to be 4 years and $72 million, which I think is a little too much for a guy who's had shoulder and knee injuries in the last couple of years. But at the
You
same
said
time,
too much? I think that's-
$18 million a year for a guy who's had shoulder and knee injuries for the last 2 years. But
I mean,
at the
18
same
million
time,
is too much, but 4 something, yeah, I can see that going, you know. But 18 million, come on. He needs to stick with the 4 something. That's like a Rock Nation contract right there. 'Cause they don't ever want to pay their people.
Yep.
But, you know, sometimes I don't feel they're worth all of that money, but they also are in the public on a daily basis, consistently, yearly, and the wear and tear on their body, you
Yeah.
know. That's where it comes in. They're a form of entertainment for us, so we have to pay them. You know what I'm saying? Because after they're gone, damaged goods, you know, there's nothing more they can do.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the Joakim Noah signing. I just wish that they could have gotten him a little bit more on the cheap. But it is what it is. Hopefully, Noah will be on his best health, and he can make a really good contribution for the next season.
When it comes to the Knicks,
they
fingers
needed
crossed, toes
fingers crossed.
Okay, everything crossed. I need to cross my dreads, cross everything. Okay, cross my eyes too. Okay, it's just like the luck of the Irish, boy.
At least the Knicks got somebody that they've been looking for a long time.
I mean,
A
they did
defensive
better.
stopper, a hustler, and someone who could do a lot of dirty work. And Joakim Noah has done more than his share of dirty work for the Bulls in 9 seasons. Now, while the Knicks got their big-ticket guy, guess who the Brooklyn Nets decided to get? Does the name Jeremy Lin sound familiar?
Sorta, kinda, you know.
Jeremy Lin, who, by the way, has played for the Knicks, twice for the Rockets, the Warriors, the Lakers, and most recently the Hornets.
Is he a bum or is he good?
He's a good scoring point guard, pretty decent shooter. I would like to see him drop a few more dimes as a starting point guard because he's only averaging about 6 or 7 assists per game for his career. But he is a really good scoring guard. He also has major problems with turnovers. He's a real turnover waiting to happen. But the Nets needed a point guard, and he is somebody that the Nets have been eyeing for a long, long time. In fact, I think he's a better signing than who they were also considering, Rajon Rondo. And also,
I think they did good in the draft. I think they got some good picks. Okay, I seen like they let them bums go.
Yeah,
okay? And we got some good picks. Right
love the Karis LeVert drafting. I specifically like them getting Isaiah Whitehead. That's a good 1-2 combo in the draft that they could get right there. In fact, they had a really big party for Isaiah Whitehead at his introduction at his press conference just recently. They actually had it in Coney Island, on the boardwalk, right in front of Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs.
It's a beautiful thing. Like even having a draft in the Barclays Arena. Like, are you serious? Like we used to seeing just these festivities and these functions in Madison Square Garden and everywhere else around the country, and we have it right here with us now. So we have to take part. You got to go out. You got to support your teams. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly right. And look at some of these other free agent moves that have been going on. There has been so much movement lately. In addition to the Nets getting Jeremy Lin and the Knicks, well, by the way, speaking of Jeremy Lin, now that he's back in New York, I guess this means there's going to be some Brooklyn sanity going on.
Is he the twin brother? The two twins?
No, you're thinking of the Lopez twins.
All right, because one of their names is Brooke. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen to all of these numbers and movements that have been going on. For example, you know how I said that Joakim Noah might have gotten a little bit overpaid? Well, the Lakers just gave Timofey Mozgov, who's averaging 7 points a game for his career, 4 years and $64 million.
Oh, wow. What's the
$16 million a year for a guy averaging 7 points per game.
What is the cutoff to be a player? Maybe I need to go and try out for the Lakers or something.
Apparently the cutoff is maybe 15, maybe even $20 million.
No, I mean the age cutoff, because I'm still a little young. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you mean the age cutoff to
play,
to apply for the draft or to retire?
No, to play, to get out
19.
there and get 64. Oh, the cutoff is 19?
19.
Oh, shucks, I'm a little over that right there.
Also, listen to all of these moves that have been going on. DeMar DeRozan, the star for the Raptors, there was rumor that he might want to go back to Los Angeles. Well, he re-signed with the Raptors. Bradley Beal re-signed with the Wizards. I see Chandler Parsons, who was with the Rockets and the Mavericks. He got himself a big contract with the Trailblazers. The Hornets re-signed Nicholas Batum. The Lakers re-signed Jordan Clarkson. DJ Augustine is now the backup point guard in Orlando. He got himself a deal worth $29 million over 4 years. Andre Drummond re-signed with the Pistons. Al Jefferson actually left the Hornets so he could play for the Pacers, and that's a really big loss for the Hornets and a big addition for the Pacers because Al Jefferson is a 6'11 center who can give them good scoring, good defense. He's really tough in the middle, and he's great for somebody's locker room.
Might be related. I'm a Jefferson. You know what I'm saying?
And Jared Bayless wound up signing with the 76ers, 3 years, $27 million. And Mirza Teletovic, the ex-Net, got 3 years and $30 million with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Before you go by the 76ers, because it seems like their fan was upset at the draft, with their picks. It's like...
Well, I happen to like the Ben Simmons pick. The Ben Simmons pick was really, really good and was really obvious. One team that really, I don't know what the hell they were doing, is Sacramento. They acquired the rights to an unproven European player, also acquired the rights to an unproven kid who played college ball for a year at Kentucky, but is really, really raw. They got failing grades all across the board.
The two biggest questions I have for you before we go anywhere is, how do you feel about the Australian player that they picked? Because
Ben Simmons?
Yes.
I happen to like Ben Simmons.
But when they showed his, his play-by-plays, it's like they play a whole different game.
Yeah.
He plays with the Globetrotters over there or something. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Even the uniforms was off. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't get that feeling. Like,
Keep in mind, he also played 1 year at LSU.
yeah, and
He
I
played
think
1
that's
year at
what,
LSU.
what helped him. You know, that 1 year he played over there.
Yep,
But
and he also
other than
played some
that-
high school ball. After he migrated here to the States, he played high school ball in Florida.
Right, but it seemed like they was playing on an island with coconuts and baskets and palm trees and stuff. His just style is completely off to me.
The style of play in Australia is really, really different from over here because, for one, they don't necessarily rely on big men in the Australian game. And also, they're not even close to being as athletic as they are over here.
I'm telling you, I mean, I couldn't believe it. My second question is that the player that everybody thought he was going to go in that first round, you know, I stopped watching, actually, because they didn't pick him and they picked a lot of bums. But did they allow him to go back to college, or did a team eventually pick him, the Dante?
Who are you talking about exactly?
Dante, somebody?
Dante. Hold on, let me see if I can find this
Dante
out.
Davis or something. He was they was looking for him to get picked in the first round. He was a top player, but he had came out in his first year.
Right.
He was only a freshman. But at the same time, they were saying that they was teaching him a lesson, you know, by not picking him. But it
Let
was
me
a
see what
big
you're talking
debate.
about.
Would he be allowed to go back to college if nobody picked him? Will he be allowed to go back and finish up his 4 years?
Are you talking about Deontay Davis?
Yes.
I think Deontay Davis, not only did he get drafted in the 31st overall, but there's a strong possibility he might make the Memphis roster because he had his rights traded to Memphis.
Right, but it's not as secure as the people who got picked.
Not as secure as the first round.
Right.
Definitely not.
They definitely have a contract in the first round.
Yeah.
He's on, on shaky ground. Maybe they may take him. Maybe they won't take him. But
Well,
he's
he's
also-
already been drafted. Memphis drafted him. Correction, Boston drafted him, and he had his rights traded to Memphis. So
Right,
if
but
he does
usually-
well in the summer league, he might be able to raise his
But
stock a little bit.
second round picks are usually the first ones traded when it's time to trade. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
he doesn't have a definite spot there. And you know, talking about the Australian guy, you would never expect him to get picked before him. You know.
Well, Ben Simmons was drafted first overall for a reason. Because Ben Simmons not only is a 6'10" guy who moves like a point guard, he's a great passer, great floor vision, moves great with the ball. He'll actually take people off the dribble.
You think so?
Yes.
He reminds me of that Star Wars character that nobody likes, the Jar Jar.
Jar Jar Binks.
He just reminds me of that, you know. So
He got some skills, though. He got real skills.
I guess I have to see him watch him play in our leagues and on our courts over here because the footage that they show from Australia is just horrible. You know, I feel my grandkids could probably go out there and do more justice than what he did.
Only thing that he has to work on, though, he has to work on his jump shot because his perimeter jumper is very, very suspect. And also, when his heart's not into it, he can be very, very lazy defensively. So he's got a lot to work on.
I have Australian friends. They party all night long. Okay? So it's a blessing he didn't come to New York because then he'll be another story in a strip club, another story over here, you know.
Yep.
Like the rest of the New York players up here. Can't handle that limelight. Okay.
This is true. Now, while free agency in the NBA has been hot and heavy, free agency in hockey has been equally hot and heavy. In fact, the Devils wound up making a couple of free agent signings. Not only did they get Lee Stempniak on a 2-year deal, they also got John Merrill, and they also brought back Bo Bennett. So the Devils have been keeping themselves really, really busy at the start of the free agent season. And they also signed Devontae Smith-Pelly to a 2-year deal. So the Devils have kept themselves really, really busy. As far as the Islanders are concerned, they have had a very, very inauspicious start right now because two of their best players, Franz Nielsen and Kyle Okposo, both wound up leaving. Okposo went to Buffalo, and Nielsen got a big contract in Detroit. Okposo wound up getting 7 years and $42 million from the Sabres. And Nielsen, I think, got 8 years with the Detroit Red Wings. That's a lot of cheddar for these guys to be making. At least the Islanders weren't completely sitting on their hands because they did get Jason Chimera, the former Capital, on a 2-year deal. But that's a lot of scoring that the Islanders are going to be losing off that team going into next season.
Yeah, I'd rather them be broke, okay, with the bad contracts, because at least you get the hockey fights. You know what I'm saying? The hockey fights was the best thing they had going at the hockey games. You know,
It's funny that you mentioned that because the guy that runs the NHL, Gary Bettman, said that the league needs to have fighting in the sport to try.
That's what attracts the viewers. You know, even on Blades of Steel. Remember the game Blades of Steel? That was like one of the highlights of the game was you get the fight in the game. So they need to bring that back more. Another thing is I don't think they're really too satisfied with the Barclays Arena.
Yeah.
Because
nobody was happy with the Islanders moving to Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's like, but it's not only them, the players, it's the fans. The fans.
They have to make their way all the way from Nassau County into Brooklyn. And from what I understand, a lot of the Ranger and Devil fans have been really mocking the Islander fans for the move to Brooklyn. There have even been some Islander fans who've been making fun of Brooklyn for some reason.
Yeah, but guess what? When it don't matter where they come from, it's like something always breaks out at the hockey game over there. You know, you don't have to go to WWE. You can go just to the hockey game and you'll see enough fighting and wrestling to last you for a whole season. And not on the ice. So, you know, that would be my next question for you. How do you feel about Brock Lesnar, you know,
Brock Lesnar, the wrestler and slash MMA star?
Right, because now he's going to a big MMA fight now. And he didn't relinquish anything with the WWF, so they're trying to promote it like a joint venture.
Yeah. It doesn't really surprise me because Brock is a supreme athlete, number one. Number two, he is about as much of a beast in each form of the ring as any other athlete.
When he was younger, he was the beast incarnate, so I guess he's the fully grown beast now. With him, I try to see what accomplishments and, you know, what did he bring to it, you know, besides being so young and coming there and getting, you know, a lot of titles and stuff. Other than that, I can't really pull nothing, you know, that he really, really brought to the sport, you know.
Yeah. Well, Lesnar is a multi-time WWE champion, and he was also a real brute.
Yeah, he just like pain. He just
octagon.
like pain. Yeah, he just like it. He don't care if he win or lose. He just want pain. You know, and give you pain.
That's why. That's why the former broadcaster for WWE, Taz, kept on saying every time, "Here comes the pain."
But Taz is he's in a category by himself also because when he was fit and young, you know, he was a terror too.
Especially in ECW.
That's how he got the name Taz. You know, he's coming in like a Tasmanian devil and jump on your butt so quick you wouldn't even know. So.
Well, going back to NHL free agency for a moment, let's run down some of the things that are going on. Let's see. Matt Martin signed with Toronto. Justin Peters got a one-year deal with Arizona. I see Daniel Carr re-signed with Montreal. There's also Jeremy Morin, who signed with Tampa. Philip Lawson signed with Vancouver. Brian Campbell got a new deal with Chicago. Patrick Eaves re-signed with Dallas. And they also set the salary cap for the NHL. Just to give you an idea what the spending is for each of the teams, Pittsburgh's salary cap is $75.6 million.
That's low.
Montreal, $71.1. The LA Kings, $70.3. Columbus, $69.5. $69.5 million for an NHL team that has made the playoffs twice in 16 years. Toronto, 69.2, Vancouver, 68.8, and Chicago, 68.4. That's the salary cap for each of those teams in the NHL.
Where's our caps at? How about our teams? What are our caps, you know?
Astronomical.
Oh, like the
That's
Yankees.
your answer.
Like the Yankees. It's like Wall
It's not
Street.
necessarily Yankee proportions because the Yankees are roughly around $90 million right now. But
Because the Yankees is way past Wall Street. You know what I'm saying? So I guess they're the Wall Street ones. They can get the money from Wall Street. I just wish that maybe we get our money's worth one of these times for one of these $300 million players, you know.
quite possibly, it's going to take a lot of maneuvering in order to make this happen because there's the issue of having to fit one guy, yet not being able to fit another guy. And for the record, the Islanders' salary cap is, let's see, $61 million in salary, $57 million in cap hits. As far as the Rangers and the Devils, let me see if I can try and find this out for you right now.
Well, we're already low on that one. We ain't in the top, you know. Mm-hmm. Probably in the bottom, 15.
Let's see here. We mentioned the Islanders. The Rangers are at $68 million in total salaries, $60 million in cap hits. And as for the Devils, right at the bottom of the totem pole, $52.5 million, in total salaries, $52.4 million in cap hits.
So they're over, actually. Okay? They owe money.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, they're roughly about $2 million over the cap right now. And Matt Martin, yep, we just mentioned Matt Martin's deal with the Islanders, with the Maple Leafs, rather. 4 years, $10 million. At least in the NHL, some of the salaries are a little bit respectable as opposed to the NBA where you've got guys signing for $16 million even though they're averaging just seven points a game.
I would think that the hockey would be a little bit more riskier, so they would pay them more because being you have to skate on ice and hold your balance up and still try to, get that puck down there and score a goal.
Yeah.
So
plus the physicality and the brutality that takes place on the ice with so many checks and hits.
Oh, not only that, if you put your hand down the wrong way, okay, and somebody runs over it, guess what? You got some Vienna sausages all over the ice because those blades are so sharp, you know?
Yeah, many years ago, about over a quarter of a century ago, there was a player, Dave Anderchuk, who accidentally got sliced in the throat. It's a really gruesome sight.
I guess that was mistaken. I guess that was mistaken identity also.
Yeah.
He
wound up getting sliced in the throat, and he spilled out a lot of blood. It was a miracle that he didn't die on the ice.
I think the ice saved him because, it probably...
And also the fact that one of the trainers came by with a towel and put pressure on the throat to keep him from bleeding anymore.
No, but maybe the coldness from the ice, if he was outside in the heat or wherever, okay, thank God he wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
Okay. But it be those stories. Another big prevalent story now is the football player from last year, 4th of July. He's doing all the PSA announcements, and he finally showed the fingers that's missing.
Yeah, you're thinking of Jason Pierre-Paul. This is a guy who's going to have a really important season because not only is he playing in a contract year, because he got a contract for this season, only this season, that is, but he's going to be playing with a big gargantuan brace on his hand, and it's going to be impossible for him to try and wrap his arms around guys to try and bring them down when he's making a tackle.
See, what I don't understand is they're making all of these breakthroughs with prosthetics. Why wasn't he fitted for a prosthetic of his own? He don't have to wear no big, bulky anything.
Yeah. He wanted to keep what was left of his hand intact. That was number one.
The first pictures when he was just recovering, it didn't look nowhere as bad as now. It's like they still had to go back and cut some more off of him. I give him thumbs up for not being a quitter, okay? And just coming back and just going with the flow, He's not going to let that down. He's probably going to have the best season he ever had, because this is a lot to overcome. But I notice when people have challenges like that, it's like their will is stronger than ours. They have more to prove because they're proving something to themselves that they can do it,
Yeah.
So I look forward to that, watching him play.
Me too. And that reminds me, since it's July, that means the training camps in the NFL are going to begin later in the month. The rookies go first, and then the veterans follow, and then they're going to start playing the exhibition games, starting with the Hall of Fame game in Ohio next month.
Okay, I'm going to hang out with Manziel. Okay,
Oh, brother.
That's who I'm looking
What a
for.
lost cause that idiot is. And you know, his father gave him a stern talking to, and he had the audacity to mock him on Instagram.
Yeah, this is the respect that parents get these days. We was talking about it earlier on our way to the studio, but you know, it's not just people that's not in the spotlight. There's also people that's in the spotlight where you don't have respect for your parents. And
Yeah.
that's not going to work. They brought you in this world, okay? You wouldn't be as far as you are if your parents didn't push you.
Yeah. Well, with about 4 minutes left, we'd be remiss if we did not discuss the stuff that's going on in baseball. The Yankees are coming off a series in San Diego as part of a road trip, a 10-game road trip right now.
What's going on here?
And the Mets are going on with the series. Mets are coming off a home series with Chicago. Now they have Florida. This is
That's not your normal. It's not our New
this
York
is actually the
Rainy
Dominican
day?
Republic. This is the Dominican
okay.
Republic.
All right.
This is the baseball cap that all the Dominican players
I see
wear
the flag on the side.
every
right?
time they play in the World Baseball Classic. Yeah, this is a Dominican flag over here. The Dominican flag has its shield, and around the shield says the words Dios, Patria y País. It's Spanish for God, freedom, and country. That's our motto.
Oh, okay.
And as we all know, the Dominican Republic has become a hotbed for baseball players.
I mean, it seems like it's gotten quiet these past few years, but I know, like, it used to be a time they prospect all of their players from over there, and every time you look, somebody was here visiting, you know.
We still get a lot of prospects coming from the Dominican. In fact, there are baseball academies in the Dominican right now that are being run by some of the teams. There's even a summer league that's run by a lot of the baseball teams down there. The Mets have a summer league team. The Yankees have a summer league team. I would say maybe 2/3 of the teams in the majors have summer league teams in Santo Domingo, which is great because that's a great way for young players to get their start in the majors.
I seen a few of them last summer here at our stadium.
That's
out
right.
Here. They were here for maybe 2 or 3 days or a week or something. But I just
Some of them go for a whole season.
right, but they were just here, and you know, I find that the multicultural thing to be a beautiful thing. But what I didn't like is who gave De Blasio the idea that we want to change our name from Staten Island Yankees to something else, you know.
It wasn't even de Blasio's idea. This was the Staten Island franchise's idea. They wanted to go with something that would be more reflective of Staten Island. But
I mean,
to be honest with you,
the Statue of Liberty for Yankees. I mean, like, what was he gonna do?
I couldn't even begin to tell you. This is going to take a lot of creative work here.
I mean, it's just as bad as the Verrazano Bridge. They didn't even spell that right. I
Nope.
heard they was missing an N since the time they built that thing.
That's right.
So, if they have any suggestions out there, I would love to hear the suggestions of your viewers of what to name the Staten Island Yankees.
In my eyes, they're always going to be known as the Staten Island Yankees. Whatever nickname they do,
Yeah, we
what they
can't
do
mess up a
choose.
good thing. You know what I'm saying? We kept our Nets. We kept our Knicks, you know. Is that the countdown there?
Yeah, we got a minute left, so I guess it's time for us to say goodbye.
Time goes so fast.
Yeah, time goes way too fast when you're having fun. Ja, thank you.
Anytime, you know what I'm saying? Thank
Of course. Before we sign off, I want to give a special word of thanks to a really good kid that's on the other side of the glass directing us today. His name is Mark DeMuro. Just graduated high school. He's on his way to college in a couple of months, and he's giving me thumbs up right now. Mark, thank you so much for helping us out today. So, for everyone here, for Ja Dreads, and for Eric who's watching at home, I'm Jamie. Happy rest of your Independence Day, folks.
And meet us at the Bleachers somewhere. We pay, you know,
That's right. Enjoy the rest of your holiday. Good night.
fireworks.